It only takes 2 matches to down the Red Bulls, although that second one sure brought the heat. I mean, way less fun than the first round, but a whole lot more conversation afterwards. Wild finish is still a finish, and we live on to talk about it. Wait for it. 3 more weeks. That can't be right, can it? Come on, MLS. This whole playoff thing was just starting to get good. I'm Boston Brazel, and if you are tuning in for the first time, trying to find out how a team from Cincinnati keeps winning, welcome. You have stumbled across Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the show that aims to be as confident as Lucho Acosta, dribbling into 3 defenders. Will we always succeed? No. But when we do, you'll tell your friends about us. Thanks for tuning in. This week, we're going to dive into the chaos of the past match, of course, but we need to evaluate FC Cincinnati's next 2 possible opponents, as well as the strategy decisions Noonan might be having coming up and deciding how he might play. I brought in the 3 guys that FC Cincinnati didn't even think about before they settled on Chris Albright this offseason. Let's bring in our co-host and get this party started. Back and bummed he can't boo Amaya one more time is Brian Wiedenbach. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good to be here again, Boston. It was a good weekend for me, coming off several wins. Obviously, the FC Cincinnati win, the Bengals' big win last night, and my 3 kids brought home winners in their tournament. So, living the life this Monday night.
All right. Did you see so did you watch it on TV? I watched a part of it on TV, and the stripes, man, that was cool.
That was pretty legit. I heard rumors. I didn't think it was going to happen.
I think FC Cincinnati could pull off stripe in the stadium.
Absolutely.
Seriously, it takes some coordination. So props to anyone out there that was at that match and wore the right color. I noticed some of you did not, but there was not enough of them to make a difference. All right. I think I hear something in my backyard. Hold on. Let's see if we can get to it. I don't think I can.
You're so prepared. I love it.
I wondered where you were going with that.
How you doing, Bull?
I knew it. He's never ready, and he's always like, "Oh yeah, I have to hit that button." Bang! Where's that button? So,
hey, you're the only person with a sound effect left, I think.
I know. We can give it up. I'd be all right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
ask the fans now or something.
I will not be all right with that decision. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing good. It's good to get the 2 wins. I'm happy not to play the Red Bulls again until 2024. So
we can skip them. MLS, if you're listening, we would gladly skip them in 2024. Give us like an extra St. Louis, an extra Nashville, something going on there. All right, and finally, I'm happy to have Jeremy Lance back on the podcast. Welcome back, bud.
Hey, I was almost very tardy to this show, so glad I made it. I had to switch computers literally at like 8:59, so it was a bit of a disaster over here.
Oh, you could have got away with it. No one noticed because you joined during the intro, and the other graphics were up.
So. No, you know what? I got a self-report.
And I was only 9 minutes in front of you, to be honest. Not too bad overall. Oh, man. I know you're a big fan of MLS referees, and so I think you have a great week here. It's a great week to have you on the show and defend them, sir.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Yeah. All right. If we are going to dive right into it, first, give a shout out to our top of the show sponsor. Apollo is a season-long sponsor of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. If you've been looking for a premium home service company for your plumbing, HVAC, or electrical needs, visit their website at apollohome.com. And thanks so much for their support. Let's get into best and worst. I've already seen some of you guys throwing them in the chat. We appreciate that. We'll get those on the screen here in a moment. But before we do, Brian, give us your best and worst.
Yeah, my best. I know it was crazy. You might disagree, but the chaos at the end of that match was phenomenal. Just as far as the drama of playoffs, the goal at the end that was suddenly not a goal, jumping up and screaming and celebrating in my living room. I had to ask my neighbors, did you hear me yelling? Did you hear me screaming? Did I wake you up? It was loud over here. And then the disallowed goal, then the chaos in the penalties was fantastic. And I think a second best for me was kind of jokingly, but Arias acrobatics, man. He almost stuck that landing on that backflip, man. A little bit further, he had it. But no, in all seriousness, that chaos at the end was phenomenal. I just loved it. Glad that we came out. It would have been my worst had we not. Then my worst, I know we'll talk about it a little bit later, but the foolishness at the end and the inconsistency of the cards, but Miazga's 2 post regulation was pretty wild. And the fact that we're going to miss him, at least for now, it looks like we're going to miss him in the next match.
I feel like everybody learning we were going to play the New York Red Bulls just had a gut feeling that something was going to go wrong.
Oh yeah.
At least it wasn't like a permanent terrible injury or something horrifying. It's just of course it's tempers. You're playing the Red Bulls and somebody's going to lose their temper. Oh man. All right, Bill, we'll jump to you. Best and worst.
So I'll take it away from the game and just talk in general about the playoffs. For me, I actually think the best is the fact of the first 4 second games of the first round, which is complicated enough to say. I love the fact that 3 of those games, 2 games and out. I think it's awesome that we're not getting the third game. And that's because my worst is I think this playoff format is crazy and stupid. And I hope we never see it again. And I hope they realize that this 3-game format just is not working for them, because I know they want more games, but they're not getting them. So maybe they'll move on to something a little bit more sane next year. So.
There's a game on right now, right? Does anybody have that?
Yeah,
Anybody?
literally.
Houston,
Real Salt Lake, Houston. That's it. You should put it on behind us, Jeremy. You got a TV behind you.
Yeah, I got Monday Night Football on. I'll switch it in the background. Everyone just looked really close.
Exactly. We'll be like squinting. What's going on in the game?
Okay, so it just started. You said that, and it made me think you knew something I didn't know, which was like already Houston was up, and there won't be a game 3 over there either.
No,
because you're right.
I think Houston's gonna beat him as well, and then I think that'll be 4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. Yeah, I had that as a point to bring up later too. It seems like it's one-sided thus far, although I wouldn't mind Columbus going to a game 3. So we'll see. All right, and next up, Jer.
Best of the week is just watching the meltdown, watching the copium being consumed by the Red Bulls faithful after the match. You know, there's a lot of talk about it, and been a lot of talk about it this whole season and even last season. This is, without a doubt, just based on the vibes and the venom, a real rival for us. And it feels that way every time we play them. It feels that way every time we beat them. And oh man, did that taste good, especially that nice shot they had at the end of Tolkien just sitting there on the ground crying. Oh, I ate it up. Worst of the week. This is going to come as a bit of a surprise. Pro ref, they didn't do a good job. I don't know if anyone noticed that, if anyone else picked up on that. It was a bit of a gong show, but we're kind of used to that by now. But it's just like, come on. I mean, in this case, we had several instances where it was like, you know, you go back, well, and we'll get back. Obviously, we'll dive into this here, but like the whole Arias thing, like this is player safety, and yet, what are we doing here? It's like, it was so frustrating. I'm glad we can laugh about it now because we survived. But had we not, given the way some of those moments went, I would be losing my mind still from Saturday night.
I always have this
100%
dream.
agree.
Yeah. I have a dream that the referees will start to penalize Red Bull for some of the ways that they play the game. I don't mind frustrating soccer. If you're staying in the rules, you're doing okay. When they start to get to this hacking and fouling and then how long did it take for just one yellow card to show up in that game? And then it was on an FCC
too long.
And you saw the foul ratio per team. It was just absolutely frustrating. But yeah, you're right. We'll tackle that later. We'll get into your guys' best and worst. Eric on YouTube saying Auxilia 1 hosting a great game as always. Sounds like Eric got a chance to get up there. Awesome to hear. I've been up there a couple times, met those guys, and it is actually a blast. So if you haven't been there, Mr. Lance, you're getting some love here in Facebook. People glad to see you back on the show.
Good to be back.
Let's see here. Best Celentano's PK stop came at the perfect time. Miazga getting himself suspended is a worst I expected to see, and there it is. Honorable mention, New York Red Bulls ugly game and the way FCC lets New York Red Bulls get under their skin. Again, another shout out for Celentano's PK and the shrug. He threw in the shrug. Matt getting in an argument with the ref after regulation, getting the yellow. I love his play, but he needs to learn to shut his mouth. I mean, I think if you don't expect that from Matt at this point, then
you haven't been watching.
Exactly.
Oh, refusal to give up on those. I can't read all this. Diving and whining. Worst. What else? Terrible officiating. Oh, man. Eliminating the Red Bulls again. Gator Zone's best. Worst. Obi and Baji injured, but we really don't know to what extent. I don't believe at the moment yet. So no panic. No panic. Best Boop's goal coming at the right time, especially after all the grief and worry in the past few weeks. Worst, Obi always getting carded for tackles that are routinely not even fouls when they happen to our guys. Yeah, that is a pretty big trend with Obi. I think it's got to be his play, right? Like referees just mistake his.
His tackles are so fine and surgical that the pro ref here in America just can't see the difference between that and just a good old jobber out there hacking people.
Yeah. And the angles he comes in at, the fact that he gets the balls at those angles, because as you said,
Exactly.
Jeremy, it's so surgical. It's hard to, I get it. I don't love it.
Yeah. I've been trying to put it together, and I think you both are hitting on key points, but for me, I just can't fathom it. I don't know. You kind of wonder, do referees scout like a coach does? If you're a referee, do you scout the two teams you play, or is that implying bias? Because I would think if you watched Obi play, you would start to understand like he's not out to.
Well, you would hope that, much like a lot of players can build a reputation in refs as being a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That they finally recognize after going back or hearing or getting the reports from their higher ups that, like, hey, actually the reputation is this guy generally more than not gets the ball and not the man, but just does it so well. Unfortunately, I feel like he's getting the reputation that he doesn't do that because, again, I don't know. He's just playing at a different level.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that reputation thing is bigger than people give credit from the referees. I mean, if you think back to last year, right, when just FCC in general was playing, right, we came out of 3 wooden spoons. We were considered the team that just wasn't good, that wasn't supposed to win games, and no calls seemed to go in our favor last year. No matter what we did, it seemed like it was always against us. By the end of the season, I think people said, oh, wait, this team's legit, right? And going into this year, it felt like the opposite. Like all of a sudden, I mean, not saying it went great, yesterday or whatever, but I think the calls have been a lot more in our favor this year than they were last year. And just in general, you could say our luck has been better with referees. So,
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, no, I think that's a valid opinion. It's just interesting sometimes how some things are called and some are not. Obi has gotten clear yellows, right, where he's pulled a defender back. But that's the crazy thing to me is like when he's fouled, it's been so obvious. It's like the runner's on a breakaway and he grabs him from behind.
Oh, well, yeah, when he's going to foul you, he's going to foul you. There's going to be no doubt about what just happened.
Yeah, tactical foul needs to happen, does it?
Yeah. All right, well, I didn't plan to go down that rabbit hole, but good point. Appreciate it. My best is Brian Weigel doing a great job last week filling in for me as I was on vacation. So shout out to you, Brian. I got all these comments. I didn't even know if people wanted me back. So you did that great of a job.
I thought he was going to be on tonight. That's why I wore this Chelsea jersey.
Oh, I'm sorry. To me, that means absolutely nothing. So it's a big waste.
I'll go change.
although my only Chelsea news that I saw this week was that the women's coaches, is coming over.
It's a big deal, guys.
Yeah,
that's a great coach.
It's huge.
An amazing hire.
When it impacts the good old U of SA.
Rupesh, you got to throw it up. Come on.
Yes, that's show worthy right there.
Whoa, this one?
No,
the next one.
No.
There you go.
Okay. Rupesh's best no waggle on the show. It's been a while. It's been a while for your dreams to come true, Rupesh. Although he did say that I ruined the opening of the show as well by not getting the Bell Wolf button on time. So it's hard to make Rupesh happy sometimes. All right. My worst New York Red Bull fans, about somewhere around yesterday, maybe today, starting to pretend like FC Cincinnati doesn't bother them anymore. You know, like, oh no, we're the ones that are trying to make this a rivalry. And they're not bothered at all by the fact that our club has knocked them out of 2 playoff games, no 3 elimination matches in a row. Doesn't bother them at all, guys. We're the ones trying to incite something. We're the Nashville's trying to become something to FC Cincinnati, I guess. I don't know how on earth. If you don't feel something after having the same team knock you out of 3, you're dead inside. You're just dead inside. And so I don't believe you. You're either dead inside or I don't believe you. I choose the latter. New York Red Bull fans, we know you care. We know you care because we care. Because your games, I think for different reasons. I think FC Cincinnati fans find those games deeply frustrating. And we're always worried about our players and that you'll get under our skin and yada, yada, yada. If I was a Red Bull fan, I would just be like, these freaking guys have our number. And it's frustrating. But
at what point as a Red Bulls fan do you lose interest in the style of just constant grass humping, tackling, and hard challenges that they do instead of actually, playing soccer?
Right. Or you want your team to think for itself instead of just doing what some series of clubs around the world tell them to do, because New York Red Bulls is low on that totem pole, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be my frustration with the Red Bulls.
Yeah, I think, Jeremy, though, if we hear right, most of the time they don't have fans.
So, yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm a Red Bulls fan, my biggest gripe is the fact that I don't exist.
Yeah,
their biggest problem is gonna be if New York City FC builds that stadium.
Mm-hmm. How big is you've been to their stadium, Boston, the Red Bull Arena. How big is that?
It is actually probably the closest stadium in the league to TQL Stadium.
Is that right?
It's got
they had corners. What, 17,000 fans that night? It's the most they've had in a long time, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it gets to 26 or has more or less, but I know that it, like, in view, like if you're sitting in a seat, if you went to Red Bull Arena, you would be like, wow, this looks a lot like TQL Stadium, just like 20 years older.
Yeah.
But most of these stadiums now are square and have the corners cut out of them, and no, Red Bull is that same shape as ours. So Kevin Michael on Facebook saying it holds 24K, around 24K. Okay. Somebody else saying 26. So it is even similar in seating capacity then. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for your best and worst. We will jump into this New York Red Bull leg. We've already talked a little bit about it, but FC Cincinnati draw 1-1. Come back with a Aaron Bupinza goal in the second half, and then maybe should have won in regulation. We'll talk about that before advancing on penalties. New York again had 2 chances to put that game away in penalty kicks, but failed both attempts. And then who kicked our last one? Well, my memory's fading on me.
Marino.
Yeah, Junior Mourinho.
Yeah, that was an awesome one. Stares down the keeper afterwards.
Why was he going last? His kick was far better than both of our center backs.
Let's just go ahead and start there, because we'll start at the end of the game, because what on earth? I never understand our PK take lineups. Like, how is Mascara kicking before somebody like Junior Mourinho?
Even Mascara looked like, why am I kicking? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not my thing. Could I head it in?
I feel like every game we've had just the most random PK takers. Like, you got a Hagland and well, Matt was up there early.
Yeah, traditionally center backs actually are good PK takers.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah, supposedly. Maybe they're trying to keep it simple. I don't know.
And Miazga earlier in the season hit like 3 in a row, didn't he? And then he missed one pretty poorly
for the national team.
Yeah.
Hagland, of course, missed Open Cup.
Yeah. This is the first time, though, I think we had all of our shooters, for the most part, on the pitch still at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Well, we even added
the one
Santos.
We had subbed people off, and we had to have some other guys take them.
Yes, that was the Open Cup. That was tragic.
That's right.
We basically Yeah, I think we thought we were going to win in 90, and then it
Yeah,
didn't
we
happen.
thought we were salting it away, and then oops.
Yeah. But yeah, for this one, right, we even pulled Murphy off and put Santos in, so we had another striker up there.
Mhm. Yeah, I was much happier with the people we had. Still confused as the order they went into. It's easy for me to say that in hindsight, because if your center backs bang those in, and then I'm like, oh yeah, of course the center back should have kicked it in. Knew that the whole time. But puzzled, because I guess for me it would be like Acosta, Barreal, Moreno, and then just stick. Aaron Bupenza better make his penalty kick. You're paying him millions of dollars. and then maybe number 5 for me is what, Vasquez or something like that. And then you go to the center backs. Is it just
who was number 5 for us? It was Barreal, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Barreal was the clutch.
And he needed to make it, right? And not only did he need to make it, but Red Bull needed to miss it. So, you're putting your very first kicker is your PK taker, right? So you want to get one to get on the board. You want to get on the board. And then if you come down to it where you have to get it in at the end, you want another clutch guy there. And they put Barreal in. So I think, it's kind of like makes sense to me in that sense.
Yeah, you want a clutch guy, not your best guy, because you don't want to do what Portugal did a few years back where, Ronaldo was their best guy. They put him 5th, and then they lost before they even got to the 5th taker.
Yeah.
And then you would what? So you save somebody great for 6 or 7 because
just in case
she gets that far, because anybody could miss anything.
Yeah, I think you got to put your best 5 in first.
Well, I don't think we did. I mean, unless
yeah.
Pat Noonan's smarter than I am. I guess I should just shut up. But
it's always a mystery, right? Like it's always an absolute mystery who's going to come walking up to that spot when we do PKs.
And here's a question: I know they determine that ahead of time, but let's say the Red Bulls miss. Can they switch order, or is that determined and they go as they planned?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it's written anywhere. I don't think we give them a list.
Yeah, if you've got your best 5 up there, and let's say your opponent misses number 2 and number 3, and you've got one missed, you keep your does that make sense? I don't know.
Can you just swap out who's going to go?
I believe you have to submit a list.
Is that right?
Really?
Right before PKs, I think.
Okay.
I feel like that's right.
So if you get to the second round, say you go all the way through and goalkeepers kick, do you have to follow the same order then?
Yeah, you have to follow the same order.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't come to that.
The other thing would be how.
So glad it didn't come to that.
Yeah, the other thing for me, Brian, would be how would you switch, right? Because it's not like Pat Noonan is standing there saying, "Oh, wait, let's put in Vasquez in front of whatever." I mean, it seems like it would be like the players, and that would be wild to think about. They're up there and they just go, "You know what? We're not going to do what Noonan said. We're gonna bring you up."
Yeah. Well, I guess thinking about it a little bit more, if let's say your opponent misses one and you have your second best guy, you got Barreal shooting 5th. Can you bump him up to 3rd and just get it over with?
No,
or you have to submit, Jeremy, is what you're saying.
Right before PK start, the full order of 11.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Good question. I like the deep strategy. We could shake it up. It's MLS makes their own rules sometimes.
That is true. We found that out.
And so do certain teams
with the coin flips for the PKs.
Yeah, in the spirit of
normally there's 2. There's who goes first and which end. And the ref on mic, you can hear it in the broadcast, said, "Hey, it's already been determined that we're gonna shoot there. That's already been determined. So we're just flipping a coin for who goes first." Because MLS has decided that they want the best optics, obviously, for their which in a stadium like Red Bulls, you need to have a certain side because the other side will just be like a popcorn vendor sitting in one of the seats waiting to go home.
And I don't disagree with that decision necessarily. I think it's more fun in front of the supporters. But when was that decision made and when was it communicated?
And that's the thing, right? Like that's fine if that's what you want to do. But yeah, the average MLS fan shouldn't be finding out about that after audio came out and went viral. That should not be when that was announced.
Why wasn't that a rule?
And it also shouldn't be Acosta is finding it out, right?
Right. He was finding it out. He's like, we're doing what? Like this should be known things. Just like, I don't know how like they waited till the Thursday before the season started to be like, here's how the playoffs are going to work.
What really frustrates me, I saw an FC Cincinnati fan, I wish I could remember who, that had this take, was like, if you're going to implement this rule in the playoffs, where was it in the Open Cup when Messi was kicking
That would've
away
been
from the
nice.
Bailey?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I appreciated it because I was right there, but it was on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should force Miami to kick in front of it if
But
that's what it's all
Hagelin
about.
would have got it in if it was in front of the Bailey.
That's right. The fans would have willed that one in.
It's proven that the more Hagelin energy feels, then the better he is, right? So that's why he does laps around the stadium after the game to recharge.
I believe it.
Right.
No, player safety was fan safety was another reason that they gave,
Which
now,
is a lie.
Obviously
a lie
not
told by a liar.
Obviously not player safety.
Yeah.
Right.
Fans-
You mean like safety, like things being thrown out onto the field? Because that's absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
So the excuse, one of the reasons I saw was that fans will run to the other side of the stadium if they kick
Yeah.
it.
But that only
What?
works at Red
What?
Bulls when the stadium is empty. Right.
Right. And
Every other stadium, like TQL, right? I couldn't run there because Jeremy was already there.
Yeah, I'm
right?
already in
I
my
mean,
seat.
Exactly.
And my coat's in the other seat.
Yeah. Back in the day, we did that once. I remember back when we had the ginormous stadium of Nippert. We
Yeah.
all switched sides. That was pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of rules popping up that you don't know about for sure in the playoffs. I wonder, when we get back to the 1 games, is that rule still in place, or do we revert back to the old ones?
I'd imagine.
Because like the whole stoppage time rules are coming back for the next
Right.
game.
Well, I thought, I was gonna say for the next game. That's what's even weirder to me, right? Because we do 3 games
Mm-hmm.
and there's no extra time, right? As soon as you hit 90, you go to PKs. But in the third game, apparently you don't.
Everything goes back to old rules.
Mhm.
Old rules, single elimination, play it all the way
no,
through, and then
not even
penalties.
just a single elimination. The third game of round 1, I heard extra time. I thought Tommy G said that.
Oh, what?
What?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I thought that's what Tommy G said. I could be wrong.
Dude,
But I swear
this
he said
league's
that.
just making stuff up.
They are. They're literally pulling it out of their butt as we go.
Because the third game is more important at that point? Oh,
Right.
Weird.
Well, at that point, it is an elimination game, right? I mean,
Okay.
game 2 was 2 for 3 teams out of 4,
Right.
but this next one,
All
for
but game
whoever
1 is an
actually-
elimination game
exactly.
for somebody.
Jose asking, does anyone know why Junior Mourinho was in the ref's face after the PKs? Probably.
That was also weird. Were they reviewing? It looked like at first they were reviewing
And
if Celentano jumped off the
came
line.
off the line. Yep.
Mhm.
Which I think
But then,
they
like,
are
even
supposed to
after
do.
the announcers were like, this was confirmed, he was still like up in the ref's face about it. I don't know
Yeah.
if he was saying like, hey, these fans are throwing crap at us. I don't know. It was weird.
I have
think-
no
I
idea.
don't know.
We were in the ref's
There
face
was
so
some
much.
weird stuff going on in this game. There was a
There's
lot.
So
There
many
was some
moments of just absolute chaos.
Yeah. Nice point. They said we'll figure out real fast with that Seattle Dallas game what's going to go down, because that is the only third game that we know of at the moment, and it's coming up quick. It's like Friday, I think. So it'll be the only third game we have in a bit.
Yeah, there'll probably be one more.
I think so too, but
Is it coming up quick? These games feel like they're not quick. They're coming up very slowly. This first round is taking a month.
well, the Dallas one surprised me. The Seattle Dallas one surprised me. I was like, what? They're having game 3 like right as other people are finishing game 2. So that one I thought was pretty speedy.
The weird one is Philly, New England, because they like played, and then their second game is like a week and a half later. They're the last game of round 2, and I think they were like one of the first games of round 1. Or
This
not
whole
whatever we call this thing. I don't know.
like when they first announced this is what they were doing, this best of 3 series, I didn't have a problem with it because I had just assumed in my dumb head that this was gonna be like a Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday format where we were just gonna knock the whole thing out in a week, not take almost a month.
Right.
Well,
And that the
and then
rules would be the same. And
Yeah, and that we would just play under normal rules.
Yeah. And then right, you take the third game, and after the third game, you go into an international break in the middle of the playoffs. So
Mhm.
you're already going to miss a week for that. And then because the third game's optional, you end up with, in our case, 2 weekends where you don't have anything.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
And then you
I
have
mean,
Thanksgiving,
it's
so you're
not
not going to put games in there.
right. So not only is it like this big, long, stretched out thing, but then we have this international break and potential extra break and Thanksgiving. And so it's like we start the playoffs and then we take a month off and then we continue. I mean, it's almost the Open Cup. Like we might as well have
Well,
just
it's
kept
like
the season going.
we've now made MLS playoffs last as long as like the NBA playoffs, but they're doing best of 7 series. There's just games happening constantly. We're just taking giant stretches off of nothing.
Even if MLS wants to keep this format, you have to imagine something changes next year, right? They're
Has
going to
to.
learn. They're going to learn
terrible.
from the dead time. They're going to. I think that there's just going to be something. Kevin Day saying he heard this morning next game is penciled in for the 25th. Any insider information there, Bill? You're nodding your head.
That's 19 days from now. 19.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, officially the 25th or the 26th, it does sound like the club might think that the 25th is what they're going to get. But
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knows until the league actually knows. And they don't know
Yeah.
till they decide.
Well, I will say the whispers flown around last time were correct. So I would, I put my money behind that date then.
If you're Noonan, are you giving the guys this week off, or are you giving them any time off? Or are you just trying to grind it? Are you trying to get scrimmages against like the 2 teams set up? Like, what are you doing for these 3 weeks?
I think you're trying to keep as much a normal schedule as you can. We saw when they came off the break from, was it the nation
Leagues
Cup? Yeah.
Yes, Leagues Cup. I'm sorry, there's so many tournaments this year. I couldn't remember. The Leagues Cup, we had what, a 3-week break then as well?
Yeah.
2.5-week break, and we came back sluggish. And I think guys had flown home to see family, and that was great. Glad they got the time, but
some of them didn't come back.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Some of them didn't come back on
Some
time.
didn't come back. Yeah.
They're not letting him go nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other reason why, by the way, I like the fact that other teams are winning in 2 games is it means they get a long break as well. So hopefully everybody has the same rust they have to knock off. But I hear Miami's looking for games. So, maybe we could set up something with Miami.
Miami
just
scheduling
friendlies
during this playoffs.
Yeah. Well, they were supposed to go to China and that fell apart. So, I think they need some.
This is what happens when the league basically allows the Apple marketing team to just plan everything out for them. Like, hey, we need more Messi games. They didn't make the playoffs. All right, let's just create some friendlies.
The same night they have a playoff game, they're airing a competitive non-playoff match.
It's the same night.
It's the same.
Oh, I didn't.
It might
see
even
that.
be the same times. I can't.
Oh
remember.
my!
But it's stupid funny because you know exactly why they're doing it. And
they're advertising a friendly in the middle of playoffs.
All right, we got to get back to this game. In the spirit of moving backwards, as we have been, the referee took away a Olympico, what looked like an Olympico from Lucho Acosta from the corner right before the whistle was blown. A referee error, or was
there's the story they gave us, and there's the story our eyes saw. And
there's a lot. There's a lot of stories.
The story they gave is that it was never called a goal on the field, and that it was always called a foul. And then when it was reviewed, there was no
clear and obvious
error. Yeah, clear and obvious error that it wasn't a foul. So they kept it as a foul because that's what it was allegedly called all along on the field.
I like how you need clear and obvious error. Clear and obvious that you
can we have clear and obvious calls on the field? Like we all saw him point to the center circle, which is what you do when there's a goal. Now, if he was going like, hey, put his arm up. This is only for if you're watching live right now. If he were to put his arm up like that into the direction of, hey, a play's going this way, it's a foul. That's one thing. But he did the point over directly to the center circle. There was no vague going by the foul, moving his arm. It was boom. So, don't buy that story.
No, and then the problem is the VAR said something, and then he took the VAR's word without reviewing, which would be absolutely...
Right. Why are you not getting a look yourself?
Yeah. Exactly. If you're in charge of the game, you're going and looking. There's no way you make a decision like that without seeing it.
And this is the problem with VAR is the ref is supposed to be the one in charge.
Exactly.
And we're just
Not the
supposed to
VAR.
not the VAR. There shouldn't be this eye in the sky coming down and trying to re-ref the game. That's supposed to be there just as an extra tool if the ref needs it.
Yeah, all the VAR should ever do is say, I think you missed something, come take a look.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the center is still in charge. He has to come and look and say, "Oh, you're right. I didn't see that."
No,
But it's not about changing the call, right? I mean, that's up to the center ref.
Exactly.
I didn't find it clear and obvious that Brian, he's in Indiana, so that he didn't get an accident today because apparently we're all guilty till proven innocent now. So that's my only problem with it. Is like, shouldn't it be a goal and then we decide if it's not a goal? Not
because that's what we're kind of doing now with the offsides, right? You let the play happen, and then you look.
Yeah.
Though we don't completely do that either. But
no,
we let the play happen. We let the play happen, and then the AR decides whether they really thought it was offsides or not, and then they raise their flag if they want to, and then the VAR has a chance to overturn it. And in theory, if we really were going to play that, we would be more leaning towards it went in. It was probably close enough. I shouldn't raise my flag, and let's see if VAR disagrees. But that's not what we do. We don't. I mean, that was what they said at one point was, let's see if we can get more goals and have VAR there to catch stuff. But
well, I feel like in this game match, some of those common sense rules went out the window because we just stop what also could have been another goal earlier in the match, but because there's two players laying on the field and one of them's faking it, we're just gonna not play advantages anymore. And that one really blew my mind.
Not gonna play advantage, and we're not. Are we even gonna review that? Nah.
And obviously there was a yellow card on the Red Bull player, as there should have been, if not worse, right?
Was it on the player? I thought that was when they just gave it to the coach.
No. Oh, maybe. I thought it was on the player.
Because I thought they had then the free kick after all of that.
No.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's
no. We
definitely.
Calls.
I'm getting them all mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. They for sure gave a yellow to that player for taking out Arias, and we did get a kick from there. But it was like 2v1, right? At that point, and then they took it away. So would we have scored? Who knows? But
I understand not doing the advantage if we are the ones, right? If somehow that is our fault, but it's not. It's they fouled us. Apparently, all you need to do is go in, whack a guy, prevent a goal,
grab your head.
Yeah, and then you pretend you're injured, and then they'll stop the whole game.
Well, no, you have to grab your head. That's the important part.
You could be
no, but you can be injured, right? And they'll play on. But if it's a head injury that stops it, they have to stop it.
I'm okay with that. If that player gets subbed out.
So now people are like, basically getting their legs kicked and then grabbing their heads. I mean,
so then we should do what we should actually be doing anyways, which is if that's the case, you need to come off to the sideline and go through a full, assessment check to see if you concussion protocol check.
Yeah, that's the really frustrating thing is I feel like you bent a rule to your own advantage there, and you paid no consequences. In fact, you stay in the game, and then you get a goal for New York Red Bulls.
And I understand that rule when there's chaos in the box. There's a corner kick, two guys jump up and smack heads. One guy goes down. There's a chance the ball's coming back in, but the ball was clearly going away. There was no play coming back towards him. Let the play continue, right? Like offsides, we were just saying, let that play continue until the ball turns around or until it goes out of bounds. I think he's far enough away, even if there's a head injury.
Right.
What's anybody going to do?
I don't know too much about concussions, but I don't think there's like a window of, hey, if you get to him, if a doctor looks at you in the first 30 seconds, then the concussion will be better.
Right.
Like a concussion's a concussion. The bell gets rung. It's rung. Like there's no like doing something and intervening.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's 3-second rule. But that was a physical game. Referee definitely let that match get pretty physical, which you just don't want to do when you're reffing a New York Red Bull game. I feel like you got to get control of it early, and he didn't. So
Yeah, especially when they have a reputation for that, right? I mean, the referee should go in knowing that that's going to be happening. I mean, we lost Obi because he got stepped on and his foot basically prevented him from being able to play. They said, what was it? Mascara was playing through pain after he took that studs up tackle.
Well, I mean, he literally took his shoe and his sock off at one point and made the ref look at what happened to him.
Yeah, there's like cleat marks on the side of his leg, right?
Do we know what happened to Baji?
I have not heard.
I
yet,
don't.
But
I don't know that I saw
blew
it.
a tire. Hopefully not.
Yeah, the club always gets the day after the game off, which makes news this early always a little bit difficult. But we'll know. We'll know in the next couple of days what his 3-week, I'm guessing, guess is.
I just
he's
didn't
the only one I think
see
we're
what
really worried
happened.
about.
Yeah, I just didn't see what happened. If it was a non-contact injury, he didn't look like he wanted to come off, but then he had to come off, and it's almost at that point it felt maybe a little strategic, but he
I don't know.
been
The
injured.
decision was made quickly.
It was
because you saw Boop like getting ready early,
which is why I thought maybe it was a strategic move. If you're somewhat slightly injured, let's get you off and get a guy in there quick. But I don't know.
All they've said is it's muscular, and I don't really. I mean, that doesn't mean much to me at this point. Obviously, that could mean a whole lot of things.
Yeah, and Cincinnati was able to play with that mindset of like, hey, if someone gets a little hurt, we can live to fight another day. We can pull somebody off.
Yeah.
Where New York obviously didn't have that luxury. Like they just had to go for it.
Yeah. The bummer is obviously I don't think. Looking ahead to the next match, Baji probably, in my opinion, isn't starting because you're gonna put your $1 million guy in for that one. I think you had a little bit of Baji was already playing well. Baji had already played New York Red Bulls, and maybe he was the right guy to start a New York Red Bulls game. And Pat Noonan had a little bit of strategy there, but I wasn't looking forward at Philly or New England and going, yeah, Baji's the starter next series. So the loss is, if he can't go, we probably lost our number 3, the guy we would sub in case we needed a change or a spurt or Vasquez gets a cramp or whatever. So
unlike other areas, we still have another guy that can step in. We still have we still have Santos.
Yeah. It'll be Santos. I think will have a much heavier lift if we need him. Right?
Yeah. And Baji's definitely a more physical player too. So to put him in to start the Red Bull game makes sense.
Yeah. That's why part of me wonders if it's just strategy. And the fact that he played the first one. So it's like he already knows what he's going up against. So
it could also be that he's been dealing with something for a little while. Maybe he had a muscular, pull already and they thought he was okay to go and they saw something that said no. Let's not, we got 3 weeks after this if we win. So let's just get you off the field. And so hopefully that's what it is. Maybe, but.
All right, let's liven this thing up. It's not all bad news and hurt injuries. And
we didn't even get to the worst news. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the worst news?
That Miazga's not going to be playing the next game.
All right. I'll give
we don't
you
have
one
Hagelin
more
to come in. So it's like.
I'll give you one more bad thing then. Take it away.
So do you put Powell in, who's hopefully healthy by then? Because he technically wasn't even really ready to go in this one.
This is the tough one, right? It could.
I think Gaddis. Yeah, I think Gaddis.
Okay.
We've seen both of them. We've seen Powell go in, and we've seen Gaddis go in, and both could. I think with Powell being a little questionable, then Gaddis rises up for me. And then I also wonder a little bit with Philly, right? If it's a little bit different pace than Red Bulls and having a little more mature, slower player works better than Powell, who is, obviously if we were up against Red Bulls, I would probably go Powell.
Both Powell and Gaddis know that system they're going up against, though.
Yeah.
They both played in it.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's Philly or New England for you who plays?
No, it matters a lot to me. But...
Nah. Yeah.
Honestly, I take Powell either way.
Really?
You go Powell either way?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just less scared overall if it's New England. like less worried about it, I guess. Philly, I really want my best against Philly, and that's why Matt's move is so stupid and boneheaded.
Mhm.
Is we're playing a really disciplined, strong team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year, and it just sucks that we're not going to have our best.
That's the only reason that I want it to be New England. It's just because
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like, here we go, we knocked out Red Bulls, and now we're up against Philly in the second. Like let's do something different.
Kevin's asking, what do you think about Santos and RCB with the right center back and Brett Halsey, right wing back? It's kind of a crazy
Not Santos.
play.
That is
Not Santos, just to be clear. Arias, Santi Arias.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want Santos in the right
I
center
do.
back.
I mean, he's got the pace. I would maybe make him the wing back.
Yeah.
I took it one step extra crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Throwing Halsey out in an elimination one-off match.
For 90 minutes.
That is the deep end of the deep end that you're throwing a.
Yeah, I really like Halsey. I think he's got some potential, but I'm not sure if an elimination playoff game for 90 minutes.
I think it's good to bring in late, though. I think he brings energy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He brings energy in the same way that Jimmy used to, I think, in the USL days. You bring him in late.
Yep.
He runs hard. He goes at players. He's not afraid of Messi, right? I think he holds tough at the end, but I don't know about starting just yet.
Yeah. We're up 2-1 on Philly, and he comes in at the 70th minute. I feel fine.
Yeah.
I think we need some maturity in the back.
So I think we all agree. Murphy,
I like Addis.
Right?
Murphy, yeah.
And Mascara slides over and becomes the leader back there.
Yeah, Mascara's in the center there.
Yeah.
So Rupesh saying, what do you think of a 4-3? Oh, I thought about this today, and I just don't think Noonan is going to switch to a back four.
It's not the time to do that, right?
No.
I mean, I do think that it would be the one thing that Philly wouldn't see coming. Like you would surprise a team that knows us pretty well because we play this similar style to them. And
you have an injury or suspension in June, go for it. But like this is win or go home. Huge historic implications if you win for this club. Like, yeah, you can't risk something like that.
It's a system we know, right? The 5-back system. It's a system we know. It's not Mosquera is not the guy that is most comfortable there in the middle, but he's played there in the middle earlier this season. I think he can do it. I don't think you switch to the 4.
It's just not Cincinnati either, right? We're the team if we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose swinging, and we're gonna lose attacking. I just can't see us playing defensively and weakening our attack, and then all of a sudden. What you guys are chuckling at? Did I say something silly?
I'm looking at
we're looking at Cliff Adams. Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah. So Clifford's also doing the panicky 7 in the back, 1-1. but
who's the one? Yeah. Is it Boop and Acosta or is it Vasquez?
I think it's Boop and Acosta, yeah. Two best friends up top there.
I just don't think we can change who we are. In my opinion, thinking we have a 4th extra person back there to help will actually hurt.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh man. All right. Well, we kind of dived all into the who fills in, and so we can skip past that. I think overall, we'll just sum up Red Bull match, and that we just we're glad that's over, right?
We survived many deaths in that one. I mean, you had going down, being down at half. You had, I mean, still, I thought going into that second half, the script was going to flip. We were going to be the ones pressing. They're going to just bunker in. They didn't. I mean, they were still pressing really early, and I thought they were going to grab another early
almost
in the
right at
half there.
Yeah, almost right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think they had something like really a good chance right away.
And then you go to penalties where you essentially lose like 2 different times and get bailed out.
Right. Yeah, thank goodness the Red Bulls can't shoot.
Reminded me a little bit of the old Louisville days when things got down and dirty. It's been a bit since we've had that experience in Major League Soccer. Not in a good way, by the way.
Speaking of which, Louisville had a great weekend.
I smiled. I smiled when I saw they got knocked out of the USL playoffs by Charleston, nonetheless. A team that barely survived a couple years ago.
Right.
Yeah, well, there's actually a lot of complaints now because they're playing the USL Championship in a stadium that seats 3,000. And some people are saying it's not a good look for the league, and it'll be a poor TV showing because it's the college football stadium, I think. So, USL might need to switch to neutral venues if they want to avoid that, because you never know who can win in that league.
Yeah, and you're playing Phoenix, so like how many traveling supporters you got for that one flying across country?
This is the biggest problem with the USL overall, is that the optics of it can sometimes be so poor. Like, we know because we came from that league, and you're playing.
We sat through a lot of those bad optics.
Yeah, and you're like trying to get your friend into soccer, and you're like, here, FC Cincinnati is great. It's professional, I swear. And you turn on the TV, and you're playing in a baseball stadium, and he's like, sure, it is, buddy. So that's like the problem with the USL dynamic. And I don't, before anybody says it, I know there's a Major League Soccer team that plays at a baseball stadium still, but we're working on it. Okay. We're working on it.
Yep. Any day now we'll get that.
All right, real quick, let's give a shout out to our mid-show sponsor, Beyond Exercise, local physical therapy and fitness business that helps anyone get active or stay active. In fact, they have helped Nick and Brandon with their physical therapy and strength training needs during the off season. Currently, they are offering a $50 discount for their ACL injury prevention screen, which was piloted with Nick Hagland, Brandon. So learn more at gobeyondexercise.com. You can get in touch with us, by the way, at Cincinnati Soccer Talk on X or Twitter. Or email us feedback at cincinnati-soccertalk.com. We love hearing from you guys. All right, let's talk about the rest of this league. What's going on? If your money's on, this might be too easy of a question. Philly or New England? Who are we playing next, guys?
We're playing Philly. We want to play New England.
New England fans have given up.
What he said.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we're playing Philly.
I saw a New England fan post today, and he was like, somebody said something like, "Oh, St. Louis's playoff chances have ended," and he said, "So have ours. We just haven't admitted it yet." It's like, wow.
If it does go to a third game, when is their third game?
Wow. Well, Bill has proven, no one knows.
No one. But their second game is late, right? You said it's the last of the second round.
It's the last one. It's like it's Wednesday, I think.
And it almost feels like that was, I don't know, they're in better form, better routine, better, they're just still in game form, getting closer to that next round. I don't know, maybe they were hoping the Cincinnati Red Bulls game would, series would go 3 and it would be closer to, but
November 12th, Sunday, November 12th.
So they still have 2 weeks? No, 11 days.
So that's the question. Do you want
they play
Philly
4 days
to win game 2, or do you want them to have to play a third?
No, you want them to play a third.
Okay.
You definitely want them to play a third.
But then does that make them fresher?
Yeah.
You don't?
Well, I mean,
I think I want them on break as long as possible, like us.
Yeah.
Stiffen up.
See, I think I'm in that camp.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Have them play a friendly against Red Bull in the meantime, get banged up a little bit, and then we'll play them.
Have them play Inter Miami.
Yeah, I don't think anybody plays a friendly against Red Bulls, so that's not going to happen. But
it's 4 days though. It's not like they get a week between games and they'll be, they're still going to have a break in between.
They are the international.
The only reason
break,
I'd want them to play a third
long.
game. The only reason I'd want them to play a third game is so that someone can get a third yellow, and they can deal with issues like we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's seriously why I'm kind of for game.
More chances for yellows.
More chances for just some chaos.
Were there much yellows in the first game? I didn't actually look.
No, but game 3 is going to be heated and
still
spicy.
Got 2 more games full of yellows to come, right?
Game 2, New England's going to be fighting for their life.
Yeah, and we learned they can get them during the PKs, so they actually have 4 opportunities to get yellows.
Did you guys know that 70% of MLS teams playing at home in the playoffs win? That's bonkers, right?
What was that other percent?
Like Like MLS
Who is that other
already.
percent?
Who?
Who is that other percent? St. Louis, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking like overall, like in the
Oh,
last.
like
Yeah,
total?
they're not
in the-
historically.
Yeah, in the
Wow.
last X amount of years. I'm not
Wow.
sure how far back it goes, but it's like
Yeah.
heavily
70%.
home favored, and I
Yeah, but-
think this playoffs is just proving it.
To be fair, right? We've been doing single elimination for a while.
Yeah.
So the home teams have been the higher seeds. So it also weighs in that way, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, and then there was those years where you were doing the 2-leg aggregate where like the first match nobody's doing anything, and so it like is like a draw or one. Yeah, it's a real
Yep.
low event match. So, which is why they got rid of that because it was terrible TV.
Mhm.
Yep.
So you
Nobody
probably
wanted
had that factors in too, right?
I think that's
Nobody
why
wanted to mess with the
Dallas,
first ring.
Dallas over Seattle just isn't surprising to me because Dallas at home is going to be obviously way better than Dallas on the road, and that was kind of proven. The only thing I think that can overcome it is an FC Cincinnati. When we clearly struggled at New York compared to the beatdown we gave them here, and then
Right.
Nothing we got to worry about anymore, right?
yeah, SKC obviously played well at home versus St. Louis. They just did the job the first time, but it just seems like they're a lot closer, even in a number one seed situation. It's just
Absolutely.
a lot closer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we tied Red Bulls and we beat them 3-0 at home.
Yeah,
So it makes a difference.
it does. I mean, it's not saying, I'm not trying to say that FC Cincinnati is guaranteed to win all their games in the MLS Cup because they have home field advantage, but
No.
But it helps.
it helps.
But it helps.
Yeah, and I'd rather play Philly here than at their
Agreed.
place. So, yeah, any of the other matches around the league surprise you guys? St. Louis getting knocked out early? Shocker? Or
Shocker. Hilarious.
It really wasn't.
Those things.
Yeah. It really wasn't. I mean, if you look back at Leagues Cup and Open Cup, right? I mean, they didn't do great. So
They were kind of running out of steam towards the end of the year also. If you look at the results.
they ran out of backwards passes.
Yeah. Those free goals that they were getting.
it was the coach of the year.
Yeah, coach of the year.
Yeah, and that, keeper that should have been an MVP candidate that shipped 4 at home in a playoff game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think overall St. Louis fans still get to be spoiled because I would have killed for that start in Major League Soccer. So they don't. If you're a St. Louis fan right now, just take it in stride. You still did way better than Minnesota, Orlando, FC Cincinnati, and a long list of teams that came into this league.
Yeah.
So
Sporting was also coming on strong at the end of the season as well.
Mm.
So not only was St. Louis dipping, but KC was rising. It was
took
just
a while,
the
but they
perfect
started
storm.
to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm. I mean, it was kind of the scenario we all feared, right? Which was the Miami making it to the playoffs, right? As they're just climbing that table and we're sitting at the top going, is this going to be our reward? And
what an absolute bullet dodged that not have to play a best.
Right
of
on.
three.
Yep.
Right on. What did
wasn't it great that it was our game too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We saved ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Was it going to a different game here? LAFC, they've advanced. Is that correct? Did they win?
Yes.
Okay. So it was that game, right? Where the ref like ran into the Vancouver player that was about to take the ball out of the air.
I was
Did you see that?
Somebody'd bring this up. Yeah. The referee
This is
decided
the one where, go ahead.
Would that have made a difference in that game? Had he taken that, they were down.
Was that game 1
at
or
the
game
time?
2?
This game 2.
That game 2 was tight. It was a tight game. Game 1 was an absolute blowout.
Yeah. But game 2, their coach came out and basically said, just send me the check, but here's my opinion of the refs.
Yeah.
Or send me the bill, I guess.
I'm only laughing. Because of the amount of fines and like the amount of games that guy is going to miss next year.
Oh, for sure.
Ooh. Yeah. So if you don't know, Vancouver's ref maybe said something about MLS ref floating in the river and yada yada yada.
The coach, not the ref.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Vancouver's coach. I think his statement was something like, if such and such a ref is found floating face down in the river, the police are going to come knocking on my door or something like that. So
Quite the comment.
He,
Yeah.
by the way, has a history of interesting.
Takes.
A lot of a lot of fans are actually hoping he doesn't get fired because they're like, we kind of appreciate his blunt honesty when he's
Yeah.
when he's not going too far. But definitely, and then you saw one of the referee organizations come out against violence and yada yada about refs. So I think it's going to be pretty hefty suspensions to start next year.
Yeah,
Probably,
it's
yeah.
probably over the top. So, but yeah, I mean, it seems like, to be, whatever we want to say, to be fair, it wasn't just our game. It sounds like, there was a lot of questions about that game. In the Dallas-Seattle game, Seattle had some serious questions. There's a play where they were crossing into the box, and the Dallas players just got the shirt of the Seattle player, and he's just pulling him back, like it's reins on a horse. And they reviewed it and everything, and the ref says, it's okay.
To answer your question a little bit more, if we missed it, Brian, the LAFC did score when the referee bodied that player, and then it would just happen to be offsides anyway, so it didn't end up mattering.
Oh, so that was that goal they scored. It was like super late on in the match.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was an extra time. It was legitimately an extra time. But if Vancouver was down 1 at the time, right? I believe they were just down.
It was 1-0, and then that would have made it 2-0.
Yeah.
Or if the Vancouver guy that was running to get that ball, the ref knocked him over, if he cracks a shot, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. I don't think he would have got to. I watched the replay looking at that too, and I was like, could he have gotten there? Could he have gotten there and stolen the ball? And luckily, I think he's just far enough away that it's very unlikely. So LAFC probably would have got the ball, probably wouldn't have ran down the field and scored. So good thing it didn't count is what I'm
just glad it wasn't our game. We had enough.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that happened in ours after all the other drama?
Yeah. You know those charts people put out that are like good team, bad team, lucky team, yada yada. I saw one last week that said FC Cincinnati is a good team and a lucky team statistically this year, and Red Bulls are a good team and an unlucky team.
You kind of have to be both to win stuff, right? Like you need things to kind of fall. The ball has to kind of fall your way as much as you have to be talented.
Yep. And I think, again, also, like I said earlier, I think sometimes you just got to get the right calls too. And I think sometimes that comes into some bias, unfortunately. But
yeah, that is where the best of 3 is cool, is that you can eliminate some hurdles. Like, say, if a referee decides a game against you, you theoretically have the other 2. I still don't think it's worth it overall, but
I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to quote you as saying Boston wants best of 3 next year.
Yeah. No, you 100. Yeah, you 100% see what they're thinking, besides the money grab. The idea, the fact that any good team on a day can lose, right? Whether it's just one bad decision, one bad call, one whatever, it happens, right? Any given day, as we always say, right? So you get that's possible, and having more games means that the good team should rise to the top. I get that, but just the way they set this up, not using aggregate, not using extra time, to me, at the extended time, I mean, the whole thing, they're so weird the way they've done this. So many bad decisions involved in that. So
I do actually like best of 3, Brian, just not the way it is.
Sure.
done. I will
just make it, clean it up a little bit as far as the time.
Well, and the reason I really like it is because we also happened in baseball this year, where a ton of good teams got knocked out, and those playoffs probably weren't as exciting as they could have been.
Yeah, you had all the 100+ win baseball teams win collectively one playoff game.
So I think that's what you're trying to eliminate if you go to best of 3, is it gives a chance for the true talent to get through, and whether that is a Kansas City, and the Kansas City still knocked off the number 1 seed even in a best of 3.
Right.
So that to me, that proves Kansas City should be there more than if it was just a one-off, and all the St. Louis fans would be like, yeah, whatever, you got lucky on one game. Like, they can't say that. They really can't.
So do you play the extra time then? Is you play normal rules, extra time? Do you not go straight to penalties? How do you set up the best of 3?
No, I'm actually fine with the current layout. But I want goals counted. I
So you want
it should-
aggregate as well?
I think it should be aggregate. Yeah, it just annoys me the fact that Red Bulls could have won that game on a 1-1. Just absolutely annoys me.
Well, here's the other thing with the not using the aggregate and doing it the way they did. Right, you got 3 games. A team comes out and they win the first game, and then they tie and lose in PKs, and then they tie and lose in PKs, and they're out.
Mm-hmm.
1 win, 2 ties.
Yeah,
and the team that goes through loses as 2 ties.
If MLS stuck with this for 10 years,
Yeah.
you would see that happen. That situation would happen
Absolutely.
multiple times, and it would be mind-boggling. Yeah,
Because especially right, if the first team comes out and they're better and they get that win, then at some level it behooves that second team to say, well, let's see if we can draw this into 2 PKs because this team's better than us, right? So the lower seeded team says we're going to play 10 behind the ball. We might get a lucky shot and win a game, but if not, got 10 behind in front of goal, and we're just going to park the bus and kill this game off for 90 minutes and then go to PKs.
I got a
See if we can
solution.
get in PKs.
I got a solution. We play 2 games, aggregate scores, but the first game matters. Meaning, like if you get, let's set the goal differential at 3 or goal differential at 4. If you win by more than 4 goals in that first game, you don't play the second.
I like that. Because then
First
you're just going
game's
to see
gotta
team
mean
just
something,
going
right?
for
It's
it.
got to be
Like,
exciting.
well, you wouldn't see teams like stop playing. Yeah,
right. You're not going to sit back. You're going to just keep trying to pump it forward.
Which that's what New England kind of did after Philly just started beating up on them on game 1. They were like, well, it's obviously not. We got game 2. Who cares? And so, I don't think they really actually did that all the way, but you kind of felt it.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Clifford asking if we would keep the wild card. I wouldn't, Clifford. It didn't matter this year. Neither one of them.
Like the 9-8 play-in game? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, the 9s didn't make it. Neither one of the 9s made it. So just if in my opinion, just to keep the SKCs because they did win, stop it at 8. Why? Well, just let 8 in and get rid of
The
9.
league is always going to vote for stuff like that to exist, though, because that's now 9 teams in each division or each conference that were able to go to their fans like, "Hey, we made the playoffs. What a great season!"
Yep.
Even though if you were like, Chicago, who almost made that 9th spot,
Our
had an
Earthquake
otherwise
fans that
terrible
dumb.
season.
Like San Jose Earthquake fans, like, yes,
Yeah.
we made the playoffs.
What if everybody makes the playoffs? What if we just do like March Madness, just seed the whole thing, and the season gets you your best position, and you just put all 30 teams out there.
We have that tournament, Bill. It's called the season.
No, it's not an elimination, right? So you play
Yeah.
the season, you get seeded in, and you just play everybody.
Then
I
you
want-
play
maybe,
someone
yeah.
like Miami, and
I
No,
want
I
to
agree.
complain.
I mean,
I
yeah,
wanna
I mean,
complain about
I
this,
would
but-
hate that, but at the same time,
But
I'm just thinking about it.
so since
You
you
get
would
a
have
shit
played,
ton of games, right?
Houston Dynamo's
played
up 1-0.
Toronto, right? That would have been our first game. with
Yeah,
Toronto.
exactly.
All right, I'll take
Yeah.
that.
I'd complain, but somebody else pointed out this on social media this week, and they are correct. Every league now does this, so it's not an MLS problem. It's a major league everything problem of allowing more and more teams in, and it's for the
Yeah.
exact reason Mr. Lance brought up over there. Is more eyes, more money, fans are
J8.
happier. Yeah.
I think Jay Yates got it right if you look in the comments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What? That was fun to watch.
No,
A zillion dollars.
just a dollar sign. Yeah, there you go. That was
there
it.
it is.
That's the reason right there.
Yeah, it is the same as the NBA, NHL. Rupesh, you were dead on. That part won't change, but I would get rid of Game 9 if it was me, and it's not. So, all right. Well, do we have anything else you want to talk on? Conference semifinals, November 25th, we think could theoretically be the 26th, but if I was you, I'd bank on that 2-5. Same day as the Ohio State versus Michigan game, so you might have to pick your loyalties there. Conference finals, should we make it? December 2nd and 3rd, and MLS Cup December 9th, and that'll be a fun time if we make it that far because MLS controls the seating, so you probably won't get your seat, and not everybody will get a seat. So if we get to that problem, that's going to be a fun podcast to talk about.
And the 2024 season starting 3 weeks later, right?
I want that problem, though, for the record.
I'll take that problem.
Yeah,
I'll take all
we have
those
to start it.
problems.
You have to start it earlier, Brian, because we're going to add in 2 more cups next year.
Right. That's right.
Oh yeah, I seriously don't know if there will be an off season.
It sure doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, if you went MLS Cup, then you go straight to maybe a month off CONCACAF. Then you're out of the country.
Right. You're playing at least
Yeah.
a game or 2 of the CONCACAF Champions League, whatever it is now.
Yeah. So we're like really off the wall now here. But if you're Chris Albright and you know you have to play, you win MLS Cup and you know you have to play in 8 weeks, according to Rupesh, do you change the roster less than you would have because you need to keep guys? You need to keep guys around.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to make.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're Chris Albright, it's easier because you have a good team and you just decide to keep around most. If you're a bad team that needs to make wholesale changes to your roster, obviously you're hoping for as much off time as possible, right? But I would say an FC Cincinnati team would want to make. You're gonna have to make your hands gonna be forced on a few moves. So the problem is those are gonna be on bigger players, and as we've seen, especially with this club, those moves of inbound big name players seem to not happen quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we've already kept Vasquez and Barriel. We know there's interest in both of them, right? And we've I wouldn't say blocked their moves. I think we requested them not to move, and they've happily stayed with us. Is what I understand. There's not any tension with the club and them, but it seems like Vasquez especially has said he really feels he needs to move to Europe to get U.S. national team attention, and I think with Berhalter he's right. So I think we're going to see some players like that move. The good news is that Albright is a smart guy. He, in some senses, doesn't have a lot to do when we're in the middle of the season because Noonan is coaching the team, right? So he has actually been working on 2024 for months now, right? So he already knows what he's dealing with and what he's potentially got to fill in and change and all that. I did find out one interesting piece of news talking to him a month or so ago that I did not realize, but players get, like performance bonuses, right? So if certain things are achieved, they'll get bonuses. Those bonuses can't apply to 2023, right? Because we don't know whether they're going to get them or not. So they're not on the 2023 roster. They get applied to the 2024 roster. So if your team does well, it actually hurts you the next year because your performance bonuses immediately reduce your cap in the following year.
Oh,
this is a big problem, and the NHL has that problem where if you win the Stanley Cup, all these things hit, and you have a pretty tight cap, and you have to almost dismantle part of your team.
Yeah, and obviously he's aware of it, and he's doing whatever he's got to do to it. He jokingly said, and I can't tell how serious he was, but he said, when you're making contracts with players, and you say, you got to play so many hours, and and win the supporter shield, ha ha ha, and it was like, oh damn. Right. So, because you're coming from we barely made the playoffs. Do we win the supporter shield? Oh, we'll give you a performance bonus if we win the supporter shield. All of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, great. So,
and not only that, only one team's going to do it. And there's a bunch of teams. It's just,
right. So, that probably was in their contract, right? If you win the cup, you get this. If you win the shield, you get this. Right. And then it ends up hurting us in the end. So,
Bill, does that still apply if they are no longer with the team? Do they still get that bonus because they were part of it in the season before?
I am not sophisticated enough to answer that one, but probably. I mean, somehow that has to punish us, right? Because we spent that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Now, does it affect the cap once they're gone? I don't know. Probably too. But it'll be funny.
I think it's money we spent, right?
Yeah. We'll find out next year's when the players union salary thing comes out, and if there's a bunch of salaries that hit for players not on the team, we'll be like, well, that was. Yeah. So, thanks, Bill. That's enlightening. I did not know that. I bet we have a lot of those clauses, and hopefully, it's not an exorbitant amount of money. But
hopefully, a certain Dutch fella didn't, promise the moon on some contracts going, well, that'll never do. Supporter shield, whatever. Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll give that to you.
Yeah,
Mm.
but that's one of those things. I imagine most players have that. Have something in there because, yeah, you
Yeah, I
are
mean, I think
trying
most clubs do
that
that,
is the
right? You
goal.
want it exactly.
Yeah,
You can definitely see that, right? I mean, there's always the how many games you play, how many goals you score,
yeah.
achievements for the team, all those kinds of things are built in there. You
Mhm.
want to give incentives and bonuses, just like we get as employees at companies a lot of times. So
Well, if we're in the MLS Cup and you see Chris Albright sticking his leg over the end line, trying to trip somebody up, that's no, I'm just
it's like, oh damn, we can't afford this. Tush. Yeah,
I'm just
hopefully not.
kidding. I'm just kidding. He obviously wants to win more than ever.
Yeah,
I think
first
we've got
world
this.
problems here.
Yeah, I think we've got the staff in place to migrate some of those problems, and yeah, success does
Yeah.
bring problems when you're in a parity league. I think I said that word
Yeah,
wrong.
and absolutely. And obviously the fact that he's already thinking about it means that he's, let's just say, on top of things. So
No.
all faith to Chris Albright. So
Our listeners have stuck with us. We've ran really late. I appreciate you guys. We'll blow through these final thoughts here, though. Brian, you're up first.
Yeah, just my final thought. We've talked about it a number of times this season. We've talked about it a little bit tonight. I just feel like we've got a special team. We talk about the skill, we talk about the talent, we talk about the luck, whatever it is. This team has just won in every situation that we could imagine this year. They've won pretty games, they've won ugly games, and they've won boxing matches, against Red Bull and others, that they just find a way. They've got the heart, they've got the passion, and they just do it. In years past, teams like Red Bull might have had our number because they knew they could get under our skin. And even though they get under our skin, we find a way to pull it out. So I just love what this team brings each and every week.
Mm-hmm. We need to get the clip. You and I were the ones that loved that audio clip of Cincinnati always finds a way. We need to get that. We need to get that cut and put in the top of the show.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, Jared, we'll let you go next.
I'm gonna go off the board just a little bit. I want to just thank everybody who's reached out to me over the past couple weeks. My brother passed away. It's been a rough couple weeks. Today should have been his 41st birthday. So just a toast to my brother Josh. Love you.
Yeah, we've all been thinking about. Yeah, I heard Brad gave a special shout out to you a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I've been thinking about you a lot, man, and I'm glad.
Appreciate it.
Glad you're on tonight, but I can't imagine. I have two brothers myself, and I just can't imagine. So I feel for you and everything you're going through. Bill, I'll push it over to you.
Man, thanks for putting me after Jeremy.
I probably should have gone last. I could have probably cleared that in rehearsal had I not shown up as the show was starting.
No, we're good. So, I know we're happy to go through, and I know there's a lot of people still really frustrated with Matt Miazga at this point. And we're still, complaining about the referee decisions and everything else. But honestly, if we back up like 2 weeks or whatever it was, right, when we knew we were playing the Red Bulls, I think most of us had pictured way worse than this, right? I mean, I think we were thinking 3 games against the Red Bulls, we're literally going to have people in jail, right? I mean, there's going to be hospitalizations. There's going to be, end of season injuries. There's going to be so many yellow cards. There's going to be, because we knew we were getting into a street fight. We knew it was going to be a brawl. We knew it was going to be ugly. We knew there's going to be frustration. And so, I mean, we can count our blessings, right? I mean, I know Baji is hurt. We know Obi is hurt. We know Mascaro is hurt. We know Acosta has been dealing with injuries. We're pretty beat up, and we won the series in two games. So yeah, we're worried about rust right now, but I think right now the fact that we can get out of this in 2 games with only 1 player suspended and time for our players to hopefully get healed and better, maybe we should look at this as a positive, even though there's some frustrations coming out of it. But it could have gone way, way worse.
Mm-hmm. Just have to keep it all together for 3 more matches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
I'm more worried about the next one, honestly. I mean, I know they're going to get harder. We're going to play tough teams. But I almost feel like if we can win the semifinals, and whatever rust we accumulate during this downtime, if we can knock that off and get through, which as Brian just said, this is a special team. We find a way, so if we can get that to happen, I almost feel like the momentum will just carry us. We have the capability to beat any team in this league. We just have to be on day. And when we were at our best before Leagues Cup, I felt like we could beat any team. I think that break hurt us, and I think this break could be a little scary.
Yeah.
So, but again, taking positive, because now I went negative on us guys, but taking positive, this could have gone way worse.
Mm-hmm.
We are in good shape. We have the team that could beat Philly or New England, but Philly.
Yeah, and if you're one of those people that believe everything is scripted in sports, then the MLS possible defender of the year will find out in a few days. Maybe MLS doesn't want him suspended for their last game, and so divine intervention shines down, and we get the penalty or one of those yellow cards overturned. Maybe.
Yeah, MLS is a funny thing, isn't it, for marketing? So
yeah,
strange things happen.
Strange things happen. I am interested to see if he'll get defender of the year. Some random Portland player, center back, said he was overrated.
Yeah, I saw that.
Coming from the 8th worst team in the West.
Yeah. Enjoy Phil Neville.
Yeah, and as you said, some guy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Who?
Like, who? Yeah, that one was interesting. Well, we know he didn't get. Matty didn't get his vote. We'll put it that way. But the player vote, as we saw with the messy things, like chaos anyway. All right. Well, that's it, I think, for the show. We thank you for joining us. Shout out to all of our patrons. We've got a brand new one, Todd Schierenbeck. We appreciate you. I butchered that, I am sure, so I apologize in advance. Schierenbeck. We appreciate it. And everyone that supports us over on Patreon and our sponsors and everything that keeps the show rolling, and we appreciate it. We are going to turn it over to Coach, and I think who was teasing us with an exciting show this week. We might put that on the main channel, actually, since we have a long weekend here. So if you're looking for a little bit of more, you haven't ever listened to Coach's show, stay tuned. We'll throw it over here on this channel as well later in the week, or maybe his next week's show as well. And let's have fun. Let's have fun for 3 weeks and prepare for whoever we get, Philly or New England. And thanks for tuning in and listening for 24 minutes more than you normally would. See ya.